Welcome to another thought-provoking episode of the No Limits Life podcast, where we dive into the power of transformation, self-awareness, and staying rooted in what truly matters. I'm your host, Nordine, and my co-host, Ken. Today's guest brings a lifetime of wisdom in guiding people through life's biggest questions with clarity and compassion. The deepest transformations come when we find the courage to believe beyond what we've been told. Today's guest is Greg, known to many for his grounded wisdom and leadership. He grew up in a Jewish home near Minneapolis, and early in life found himself seeking answers that led him down a path of personal growth and deep reflection. Greg studied in Colorado, met his wife Debra, and went on to serve as a mentor, teacher, and community leader at New Life since 1998. He and Debra have raised 4 wonderful children, Levi, Abigail, Samuel, and Grace, and are now proud grandparents to Mariah and Ethan. Greg enjoys photography, hiking, sports, and proudly supports the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. Please welcome to the podcast, Greg.
Yeah,
Pastor
thanks.
Greg.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
So great to have you here with us. That quote we opened with, the deepest transformations come when we find the courage to believe beyond what we've been told, really speaks to challenging the status quo. How does that connect to your personal path and how you've grown over the years?
You have blinders on in life. So self-awareness is one area. You grow in reaching beyond your comfort zones, figuring out who you really are. That's one whole area of growth that I have blinders on all the time, and they come off.
And they come off. Awareness.
Well, yes.
I have blinders on, and they come off.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just in the last 10 years, I never would have thought I was an avoider, that I would say I deal with things honestly and upfront, but I discovered that I fear rejection. I discovered that I avoid things that might lead to rejection. I'm a good escape artist.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
But learning those things about yourself guide you into deeper relationships and a deeper place in life. Learning
things about yourself, and it's so true. The thing that you mentioned earlier, know why you're here. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's this quote. I can't recall who said it, but it said the 2 most important dates in your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we all seek to find the answer. Yeah. Why are we here? Mm-hmm. It's to me, to this day, I'm still asking myself, because I think we are here for many other reasons. When you find one reason and you execute, you do what you called upon. Yeah. There's another one. Now what? Which mountain am I going to climb? Sure. There are new purposes in each day. Exactly. There are divine appointments set up for us that we don't know. I love set up for us. Exactly. And I love this, divine appointments that are set up for us. Are these habits or daily practice that you rely on to stay focused and connected to what matters most, these things that you do every day? I'll back up from daily. The biggest anchor in our life was a gift I got as a child, was Sabbath. So once a week we rested, we worshiped, but you withdrew. You had time for solitude. You had time for reflection. And there's a certain aspect of junk in life that you leave behind to enter into Sabbath. That certain aspect of junk in life. So what are you referring to? There's negative thoughts. There's condemnation inside your head. Mm-hmm. There's little offenses between people that forgiveness can wash away, but if you hold them, they just are grain in the gears, sand in the gears. And so for me, a weekly Sabbath where you make sure relationships are at peace, forgiveness has taken place, and you enter into a time of rest and worship, that's the anchor point for me. Forgiveness is taking place, both for you and others. Yeah. When my kids were little, my kids are all grown now, but when my kids were little, every single week, So most likely this week, Dad said something stupid, made you feel different ways. Are there any issues
that we should let wash behind us. And it was, it was an every week deal. Now it's just my wife and I.
It's almost like an assessment, a family assessment.
Yeah.
Where you both sit down and you have rules. Those rules is listen. Just listen. I talk. Then you do the same without judging what I just said.
Sure.
Okay, if you need to say something about what I said, just write it down and we'll talk about it in another session. Right now, it's about listening to each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's freeing. There are, I think, many people in life have shackles on that are passed on generationally that hold them back. And to have those bust free and to be able to move forward without that burden is a very freeing thing.
You know, Pastor, I want you to talk a little bit more about intergenerational issues. There is such a thing. People don't understand that you inherit your parents' and grandparents' mindset, emotional state. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I would say we inherit it simply through our DNA, and we inherit it through learned behavior. But simple things like the things that tempt us, a short fuse, someone who is impatient, those things are oftentimes passed down. Plus, then you have the life experiences. You know, if you have an abusive parent, if you have a parent who did not know how to express love to you or share that, those things affect you all through life, and they can be shackles.
So someone who's sitting right now listening to us, and he's going through a certain amount of anxiety, okay, and don't know where those anxieties are coming from. Would you say that some of it may be also something they inherited?
Yeah. Oftentimes, our deep-seated fears, our deep-seated voices, the worrying that can stir, oftentimes those go back to wounds of our childhood, let alone just patterns in DNA that are handed down. We think perhaps like our father or our mother.
So to that person who's listening and who's going through that, what would you say to transcend that?
So first off, I would say there's hope.
Hope.
To be able to walk back through, and there is healing available. There is forgiveness available. And so to walk back through the wounds and circumstances of our childhood, that can be a very freeing thing. And so I'd encourage them to have some kind of coach, counselor, pastor,
a mentor,
in my world, that can help them walk through that.
Yeah. So in the absence of fear, there's hope. In the absence of hope, there's fear. So one needs to understand that. And again, awareness. Have the awareness, the courage to step out of that fear and step into hope.
When my son was little, we had a sleepover birthday party for him. And I remember pretending I was a mountain lion, coming up and got a little nervous. My son had heart issues already, but his heart raced so fast, he almost passed out. Now, I say that his fear wasn't based on anything real. So our fears and our anxieties, it doesn't matter if what they're based on is real or not. It's ideas
real or imaginary. The brain
that
doesn't
have captivated our minds.
Doesn't make the difference. And that's interesting you say that, because most of our fears are illusory.
Correct.
They're ego-based, ego-driven, simply because we haven't provided the ego what it wants. And that's again, stepping out of that fear, being aware that what you are fearing, okay, is what is keeping you from achieving your dreams. It's what's keeping you from living your life, and stepping out of that and getting into that hope, that love, both for yourself and for others, is what is going to help you move forward in your life and help you make not only your life, but the lives of those around you that much better. Because trust me, when you have a child who lives with you, who is ridden with anxiety, and you see that, and you don't know what to say and what to do to get them out of that predicament. It's tough.
Sure.
It's heartbreaking.
So on No Limits Life show, the show that we have, that you're on right now, we often explore energy, wisdom, inspiration. So I guess my question is, what gives you the energy to do what you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so I'm a spiritual person. So the center of my life, I'm a pastor. The center of my life is God. And so I cannot survive, I can't live life, I can't be a husband, I can't be a dad, I can't be a pastor without being filled up. So for me, there is a constant daily nourishing of him pouring himself into me, where I feel like there's a waterfall and it's just pouring over me, the presence of God, and I walk into that and I soak that in. That for me is the center of what I would say is the energy of my life. It's the power of my life.
The energy that you're referring to God, and the source of inspiration.
Yeah.
I see many people that I work with that are inspired by a source that is far greater than themselves. But some of them don't call it God. So they call it the universe, they call it whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're driven by that energy, by that source. When you're driven by that source, you become a reflection of peace, love, and with that, you can do and have whatever you want. You set your mind to. Like you look fantastic. You look in shape. You do all of these things that you need to be doing. But that's, like as I always say, it's in the realm of content. All of these things that we do. But what drives us is the being, not the doing.
Sure.
Okay. When we are inspired by a greater source, we become. We use our heart. We use love to do everything else.
Doing is riddled with problems because we do to impress people, we do to earn approval, we do to earn acceptance.
Ego-based,
and having those needs met is important. But if you can find a place, I'll relate it back to God for me. But my source of approval and acceptance and encouragement in life is from a Father who loves me apart from what I do. And resting in that allows me to do what I do without fearing or trying to impress or win. Yeah,
you tap into that source whenever you feel down. You tap into that source whenever you need inspiration, motivation. You tap in that source, and that's exactly what I do. I believe that there's something greater than me that I need to tap to, and I use that to fuel me. In order to be able to teach, in order to be able to do the things I'm doing, like you said, do. It's achievement, satisfaction, has nothing to do with happiness or love for that matter. You love someone, you like something.
Right.
We live in a society that people love things and they like people, which is the opposite, So how do we change that, rhetoric of loving a being, not a thing, and liking those things? What would you say to that message?
I think human beings have this intrinsically in them. I've never been to a funeral where I heard a family member say, boy, I just need to spend more time working and making money because that's where my happiness is. There's something about gazing into eternity that puts things in order. And there's some things that are eternal and they matter, and there's a lot of stuff and it's not eternal, and in that sense it doesn't matter. So I think if people slow down and consider the grander things of life, who created me, how am I made, what purpose do I have, what am I here for, what things really matter, I think human beings come back to the spiritual realities that are around us.
Absolutely. How can I be at the service of others instead of how can I gain? Asking that fundamental question upon rising every single morning is important. But again, we live in a society that's driven by ego.
Yeah.
By the wanting more things, wanting this and wanting to be right, and that's what's happening. So when we have people like such as yourself on the show, we emphasize on that awareness, because the show is about building awareness. Again, and you started with that. Ironically, almost all of the guests we worked with or we had here mentioned that right off the bat. They mentioned the father figure, they mentioned awareness, they mentioned love, they mentioned hope. We have billionaires here. We had pastors. We had athletes. We had everyone. The mother. We had everyone. And everyone mentioned passion, hope, awareness. The biggest one is awareness. Because if you're not aware that you're doing something wrong, you'll never fix it.
Well, and being self-aware and then others aware. Every child grows up and wants to hear mom or dad say, "I'm proud of you." And if we didn't get that, what that does to us. But then also there's people around us that long to hear that we're proud of them.
It is said that before you get to puberty, you have heard 15,000 times you can't, and 5,000 times you can, from your own parents. That's frightening for people who claim to love their children to say that. And that's, society. It's not so much the parents' fault, but the stress level that they go through. All of these things, these content things that are driving people to behave and say things that are hurtful.
You said earlier that you had a major belief shift and you left home at a young age.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a couple questions. So how old were you when you left home? And then the other question would be, how did that affect you?
Yeah, so I was 15 years old, and I didn't want to leave home, but I was told to leave home. I was kicked out.
Politely told?
Yeah,
not so much?
Not so much.
Okay.
There's a lot of pain there. But for me, that transition was, so as a child, I knew a lot about God. I could have written an essay about God. I grew up in Hebrew school since I can remember, and I knew a lot about God, but he was simply distant. So, all the hours of prayer in the day, I prayed, but I could have just prayed to a brick wall as much as I did God. And so 13 started a search process in me, and I was searching to try to know him personally. And so that when I was 15 and a half, I became a Christian, and there was an experience behind that of what I would say was meeting God, and that radically transformed the whole trajectory of my life.
You mentioned radically transformed your journey, the direction of your life. What did you feel then? I mean, you explain it, but I want something else from you.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me what was the feeling. What were you
So it's a combination of two things. On the one hand, I didn't have it figured out. In fact, I was confused and struggling. My life got worse. I grew up in a upper middle class home. Everything was provided. All of a sudden, I'm living on the streets and nothing's there.
Wow.
And I grew up knowing I'd go to college, I'd get married, I've had a house. Like, it was just a normal trajectory. And all of a sudden, all of that was gone. And so, on the one hand, I didn't understand why. I didn't understand what was happening. But I felt God with me. And so in the midst of not understanding, I will say I had a strange and unusual peace that God was with me, everything was going to be okay. And so it's a combination of feeling it, but not understanding.
Exactly. So a change or a shift in consciousness is what happened. Sometimes we can't comprehend those things. There is no thoughts attached to those. It's just a feeling of peace. that helps you transcend. And from that day on, from that second on, everything is almost given to you. The path to walk on is right there. All you need to do is walk on it.
There's still a balance. Feelings can be deceptive at times. They're not that trustworthy. But I am directed more by my heart than my head in life.
Exactly. And that is beautiful what you're saying, because feeling can be deceptive based on the five senses. What we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we test. All of these things bring what we call thoughts. Thoughts become emotions and feelings. Those can be erroneous, But love, the heart, cannot deceive.
Yeah.
It's not in the nature of the heart to deceive. It's in the nature of the ego to deceive.
And love is something we can trust in and we can believe in and understand, but we also have to feel it. Love without feeling.
Love does not exist in a place where there's no feeling. And I would say that what really is fueling that love is that power, that's the source that is feeding us with that love. In the absence of love, there's fear.
Yeah.
In the absence of fear, there's love.
So I love my wife, but I have to practice and put effort in. How can I help her feel? How can I help her feel like the most cherished person on earth? How can I help her feel beautiful and prized and treasured? How can I help my children feel loved? Those feelings with eternal things are very important.
Absolutely. I can't help but say this. Growing up, seeing my parents who love each other, sometimes there were no words exchanged. My father would be in one room, and my mom would be in another room. And no words. But yet my father, when he stepped out, I would feel my mother in almost unhappy or in distress because she would question herself. My father would go to the factory to work, and he had 9 different jobs or 9 different things to do, and he really we grew up in a very discriminative city in France. So my father, coming from North Africa, illiterate, was given jobs that were given to 9 different French worker. He would do that himself. So she'd know that he would go out and be in danger because people would spit on him, push him, and all that. So the love, like you mentioned, doesn't have to have words. It's energy. It's a feeling that you attract. When you feel love, you attract people. When you're in fear, you repel people. As a token of appreciation, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here.
Just feeling your energy makes the room so positive and full of energy. Here's my book, Inner Fitness. And hopefully I'll see you again, or I'll send you my next book, No Limits Life, when it's out in 2026.
That sounds good. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, Pastor Greg, thank you so much. And I want to thank you, our viewers, our listeners. Thank you for spending time with us today. I'm going to ask you to do us a favor. Can you please share, like, or subscribe to our channel? And thanks again for being with us on No Limits Life.